Hey YouTube, you have Leonard here. Bringing guys and gals, Kanojo Okarishimasu. Rent a Girlfriend, we're here. We're on chapter 231. And everybody, I just finished reacting to the chapter. You can follow me on Twitch again. Link in the description box down below where you can find the live reaction in its full over on the Twitch side. It was a very fun, interesting chapter. My emotions were very, as Twitch chat can confirm, I was very all over the place. But everyone, this was to me, it's hard to say. I think I mentally prepared myself with this series for us to be coming to a very swift ending. I anticipate maybe we'll have like 10 chapters or so. And the way that things kind of played out in this particular arc, we're still in endgame mode, but there's going to be another arc. There's more that needs to be fleshed out because the situation as we have right now in this chapter is one where Kazuya still doesn't technically know how Chizuru feels about him. That was not resolved whatsoever. But at the same time, because of the kiss and because of Kuri's words, Kuri MVP even from chapters ago now, he's thinking to himself, but no, there has to be something more. I'm missing something because there's no way that kiss is the same as the first one that she references. There's something more to this. And he realizes that now, which I think is massive for Kazuya. So he's doubting what Chizuru has said. But at the same time, he's confused. And I fully understand where Kazuya is coming from. Minus his monologue in the early parts of the chapter, which I was just like, oh my gosh, the mitochondria. Kazuya makes sense here, and I understand where he's coming from. But at the same time, everybody, one of the things we have to keep in mind is that from Chizuru's standpoint, she now has come to terms to some degree for feelings for Kazuya. But she also has not. Now, let me explain. We're talking about it in Twitch chat, but basically when you look at Chizuru right now in this chapter, it's almost as if there's two sides of her. There's Mizuhara Chizuru. She is the person who's a rental girlfriend, and Kazuya is her client. And she is, throughout the whole scope of this story, highlight the fact that no, Kazuya is just a client, and I'm doing what I can for my client. That's one side of Chizuru. But then we also have Chizuru Ichinose, the Chizuru that is clearly in love with Kazuya. And we get it very well in this dialogue that takes place where she's thinking back to her grandma. Her grandma says, I'm just going to read it from the chapter, a moment when love takes root, do you know about it? Is when talking about that person fills you with laughter and joy. And Chizuru says, come on, it's nothing like that. Didn't I tell you? Because I can't. I shouldn't fall in love with a client. It's like she's talking with herself, and Sayuri, her grandmother, her late grandmother, represents the side of her feelings of Ichinose, the one who's in love with Kazuya. And even the way, like, my favorite scene in this whole chapter was when she's swimming, and the symbolism of her swimming and thinking back on everything with her and Kazuya, and then when she kisses her leg, you can tell that Chizuru is really struggling because she truly has come to terms that, yes, I love Kazuya, but Kazuya is also a client. What do I do? Because of this and the way that everything else is kind of wrapping itself up right now, everybody, this is why I believe we have to get another arc because nothing's been resolved. And Kazuya said it best. We resolved one lie, but we have another lie. And what? I've been saying this for like 6 chapters now? The moment or I guess 5 chapters. But the moment that they told this other lie, essentially, that 2%, remember that 2%, it makes a big deal because they're not a couple. And they don't believe that they're a couple. And there's still confusion, so they're still lying to everybody, which is a problem. It will come back to bite them, I truly believe. But nonetheless, Kazuya and Chizuru are not on the same page as of yet. I think they're going to get there, but there needs to be one final push. There still needs to be a little bit more when they go back home that gets them to really reconcile their feelings and talk. But I think from Kazuya's standpoint, and I know that Kazuya gets a lot of hate, I don't know what Kazuya is supposed to do here, even if he's very upfront and direct, because he came into that room with every intention of telling Chizuru, I think, what are we doing? I don't think that we can get progression in the manga at this point until Chizuru gets a push. Until Chizuru gets kind of like a final push in terms of reconciling how she wants to handle Kazuya. And look at my chat very quickly. I think someone, I apologize guys, I think Kazuya senpai, you mentioned the Umi. This might be maybe where Umi comes back into play in the story. there needs to be something that's going to push Chizuru to take a firm stand on her feelings and cast aside Mizuhara and embrace Ichinose. And I'm very curious to see how that's going to go down. So we are in the end game. We're still at the end points of the manga, I'm very sure, because a lot of our plot points are kind of being tidied up a little bit. But this is very big. We can't have a conclusion until Chizuru understands her feelings. And then once she does so, her and Kazuya can have an earnest conversation and eventually end up dating, which is where I think the manga is going to go. Umi can also be a good and push. It could be. We don't know. The Umi factor, everybody, is a little bit weird. And again, I'm talking with Twitch chat. The Umi factor is interesting because Umi can either be a good guy and he's going to try and push them together, or Umi could be a bad force and cause a whole bunch of other issues that will still eventually in the end game end up pushing Chizuru towards, Kazuya and reconciling her feelings. But we just don't know where Umi necessarily stands. But to me, as of right now, if they're going back to Tokyo, I thought Umi was going to be kind of out of the story. But now it kind of makes sense that if things aren't resolved here and this is not indeed our final arc, that a Tokyo arc will take place and it's going to focus very heavily on Chizuru and reconciling her feelings. I'm 100% certain this is where it has to kind of go now. So with that, I don't think I have much more in terms of this chapter. Just quickly touching on some of the earlier parts again. I know I talked very heavily about the conclusion, but some of the earlier parts in this chapter I thought were really good again is this whole conversation. Like the Ruka stuff is very interesting because Ruka technically is still in the game because again, until Chizuru and Kazuya are official, Ruka really has no reason to kind of like fall out of the race, and she will still continue to pursue Kazuya until she hears it directly that they're a couple. Ruka's not giving up. So that's one thing. Mami, we don't know what Mami's up to right now, and Kibe still worries me because Kibe, literally after all the stuff that went down and now everyone's going back, we still have not seen Kibe, and I do wonder what Kibe is going to end up doing. And I think Deiji, again, leaving Kibe out of the story is just very interesting. It leads you to believe that he's going to do something, whether positive or negative, if not in this arc, since it seems like it's wrapping up, probably in the next arc. So that's a very interesting point as well. It's very quickly on a lighter note, I don't understand what Deiji was on throughout the chapter, but at least in my translation as I was reading it, when Kazuya was giving his whole monologue and stuff like that about Chizuru and like calling her cute, etc., he had like this line at one point. He literally said that, and I started dying. He said that she's an angel who looks like she was spat out by a neural network. And I was just like, what? And then afterwards he said, even her mitochondria looks cute. I don't know. Deiji was on something this chapter. I'm not gonna lie. This man has like a dartboard and he just chooses random topics for Kazuya to spurt about how much he loves Chizuru. But that aside, everyone, we're gonna end it here. Very interested to see what's gonna happen with Chizuru going forward. And I look forward to chapter 232, but it looks like we're gonna get another arc. This is not the end. And we keep it going. As Eden Yeager once said, we keep moving forward. So with that, everyone, like the video if you like the video, subscribe, like my content is greatly appreciated as always. And with that, I'm Leonard and I'm out. Take care, everybody. Peace.